We're here in lovely Union Square in New York City. I'm here with good friend Sunny. Today we're going to be talking about DiscoverIn and dermatoglyphics. But before we get into that, how about you just give us a little background about yourself, where you come from, where'd you go to school, and that sort of thing.
Hi everybody, my name is Sunny, and originally I'm from India, and I've been living in New York for almost 19 years now. Dermatoglyphics was not the subject I studied when I was growing up in India. This is something which fascinated me later on in my life after about 2-3 years ago, and the more I studied, the more I loved it, and it's a beautiful and wonderful science. We are just making more people aware about it and the benefits of dermatoglyphics.
Where did you go to school?
I studied in India, in Punjab, and did my bachelor's there. And after that, I moved to Cyprus. I did my hotel management for 2 years, associate, and I didn't like it. Came to the United States. I have a big family here, and then I started working in a restaurant, and ended up opening 2 of my own restaurants in New York City. Very famous Indian restaurants.
What is it about dermatoglyphics that had you pursue the study of it?
It's dermatoglyphics. Actually, it's a scientific study of your ridges on your fingers and your soles. The study was established in 1926 by Dr. Harold Cumming and Dr. Charles Midlew of Tulane University. They were professors of anatomy there, and the subject dermatoglyphic has been studied since ancient time, I would say about 1500s, and doctors were able to pinpoint all sorts of mental disorder like autism, schizophrenia, Alzheimer's with 90% accuracy using dermatoglyphics.
I'm really curious to know, how is it that you ended up getting into dermatoglyphics? What is it about dermatoglyphics that that you got into it?
Well, dermatoglyphics, I got involved in DiscoverIn. DiscoverIn is a company which is owned by my younger brother in India, him and his partner. They both have been studying about this subject and opening up offices. We have about 130 offices as of now. So when my son was born, my brother called me from India to congratulate me about the good news, and he ended up telling me about dermatoglyphics. I didn't pay much attention to it. After a few months, I got a call from my brother. One of his friends is coming to New York, and he wants my son to get tested through dermatoglyphics. And I got curious, like, how can you test a kid who's like 4 or 5 months old? I need to know more about this subject. I need to learn more about the dermatoglyphics. So we had some sessions on Skype, and he sent me all the reading material, all the scientific paperwork and everything, and I was reading. And the more I read, the more it made sense to me, and the more I got interested in this thing. And then, when my son was 1 year and 4 months, I tested him. And at this point, my son is 2.5 years old, and I know every single thing about his behavior, about his strong factors, about his average, the things he'll be average in or things he will be weak in. And at this point, we are really beginning to work on the stuff we know for sure that he'll be average in or weak in.
So it really sounds like one of the main reasons why you got into DiscoverIn and dermatoglyphics is because of your son. Yeah. The question that I'm really curious about is, what is dermatoglyphics, and how can this tool help individuals, especially children?
Dermatoglyphics, like I mentioned before, it's a scientific study of your fingerprints and your footprints. But in our case, we use fingerprints, and the reason we use fingerprints is because fingerprints develop at the same time when the most critical development of the brain is happening, which is between week 13 and 21 during the fetal stage. At that time, the brain is born with 100 billion neurons, and all these neurons, they are in that critical time, they are making connections all over the body. So all the energy, which is being the chemical and the electrical energy, which is being created at that time with 100 billion neuron, and the fetus, I would say, is about this size, and that energy that needs to get out of the body. it has to go out of the body. So it goes, the energy is released through our hands and through our soles. And that is the reason the skin on the hand and skin on the foot are totally different than the rest of the body. So what it tells us about fingerprints, well, all the fingers, they get impulses from different lobes of the brain. And the fingerprints, when they are formed, they tell us exactly, when we scientifically analyze them, they tell us how was the neuron activity during the critical brain development. That is the basic concept we use for DiscoverIn.
Can you give us a little bit of background about the development of dermatoglyphics?
The term dermatoglyphic was coined in 1926 by Dr. Harold Cumming and Dr. Charles Midlow. And they were the first people in that time, in that age, when the technology was not advanced. They used to take prints on the paper, on the regular paper, and based on those prints, they used to do the calculations, whatever formulas they were using to find out about schizophrenia, Alzheimer, autism, and they were able to pinpoint with 90% accuracy. And there has been a lot of books, a lot of material, a lot of research papers that have been published about dermatoglyphics. And the books are quite a few books. If you just Google on, about dermatoglyphics, you will see a lot of books written by doctors, psychologists, and all of the medical professionals. So based on the fingerprint pattern, psychologists were able to develop a behavior profile about individual with certain whorls and certain arches and certain loops, what category of the personality profile they will fall in. And usually about 80 to 90% accuracy rate. I mean, there is an accuracy rate of 80 to 90% just in the personality profile. Now, the next question is, what did the National Psychological Association have to say about it? Well, when I first met the president of National Psychological Association for Psychoanalysis, Mr. Carl Weinberg, he was not impressed, but he was polite, and he did give me a chance to explain myself, which I did. And I took his fingerprints, I scanned his fingerprints, and after a week I went back to his office and I showed him the results. Very much impressed with the results. I still remember the big smile on his face, and the first thing that came out from his mouth was, this report can change people's life.
What is the difference between doing the analysis on children versus adolescents and adults?
So when children are born, we all have a time frame. The brain is still wiring till the age of 16. Let's say if I do my analysis on a kid who is 2 years old or 3 years old or 4 years old, we still have a lot of time, and it will be much more easier for us to train them in the things they are average in or they are weak in. For example, people when they go to school, kids when they go to school, for till 3rd or 4th grade, math is absolutely fine, kids do fine, parents are not worried, and all of a sudden as the numbers get tougher and tougher, some kids excel and some don't. Now, what does that mean? That my kid is not studying hard, or my kid is weak in math? Your kid is probably studying what we do is we find out the areas he is strong in. So just because he's failing or he's not doing good in math, is the focus of the parent is on math. But in that time frame, we lose the focus of the things he's good at. So the main goal, or the main vision of the company, is to find how to use the strength they are born with, and how we can help them achieve more, and how we can identify how they learn. We learn by doing things, we learn by listening to things, and we learn by seeing things. So we find out what is the best way the kid learns. Once we know this is how the kid learns, then whatever instruction you are trying to provide to the children or to the kids, it has to be provided through the medium he learns. It's the most effective way for him to learn. And then we find out how they acquire knowledge. Now, a kid might be sitting by himself in a park, doing nothing, not running around. Parent might be thinking, oh, he's not running in the park. But if he's sitting there and doing something, it's called self-cognitive. He's looking to do something, trying to figure out something on his own. That is one of the ways we all acquire knowledge. So there are 4 different ways of acquiring knowledge. Self-cognitive, which is doing ourselves. Affective learning, which is basically whatever is happening in the environment, kids learn from that. Now, the third one is reverse thinking. Reverse thinkers are the people who think if the apple fell from the tree, they won't just pick up the apple and start eating. Their question would be, why did it fall from the tree? Like Einstein. And the third are reflective. So reflective is they will learn only if the proper guidance is provided to them. And once they learn something, it sticks with them like a sponge. And these people are very, very smart. So they might have problem learning something different in the beginning, but if you make them understand, or if you make them understand in the way they learn, it will be very easy for them to make or to gain that knowledge about that particular subject.
So it also seems like if one area of the brain is not fully developed, by having this analysis done, you can actually improve that area of the brain that the neurons actually didn't get to when it was going through the development phase, correct?
That's correct.
And how is this different between, let's say, adolescents and adults?
Now, as we get older, we all notice if we try to do something new in our life, it's always harder for us to learn. And the reason for that is the neurons we are born with, as we get older, they start to decline. Some neurons die and some are unhealthy neurons. There's not enough spark left in them. So the message, which is, neurons are basically responsible for sending message from the brain and towards the body. And the way they do it is that as we get older and if we try something out of the ordinary, which we have never studied about, which we have never tried in our life before, so it's hard. And the reason it's hard is because the brain is not supporting us for those activities, because the neuron activity, since we never use that part, or we made a very little use of that part of the brain, so it's not responding that well. So for adults, what I would suggest is to use the strengths they are born with, the areas they are already smart in, or the areas they are already fully developed in, and then on the side you can actually do certain exercises. These are the things that makes you do how to improve the other parts of the brain.
Almost like practicing visualization or practicing motor skills or hand-eye coordination, that sort of stuff.
Absolutely. So let's talk about, first of all, what are the things we are talking about here. What does fingerprint tells us? Well, fingerprint will tell us about your emotional status. It will tell us about your self-realization, how confident you will be. What will be your logical strength? What will be your visual strengths? How would you be in your musical strength, or your linguistic strengths, your fine motor skills, your gross motor skills, your observation, your concentration, all these things. And every single thing is controlled by a different lobe of the brain. So when everything is working in harmony, we can do wonders. But if something is out of sync, that it affects the other part of the brain. Once we figure that out, we tell you and we make a lesson plan according to that, and that's how we can use it.
What is your overall mission with DiscoverIn and dermatoglyphics?
Well, the overall mission of DiscoverIn is I want to educate as more people. I want to share the knowledge I gain from other people, and I want to share it. And I want people to take advantage of the science and get to know the science and try this science and get yourself evaluated and see what are the things you are capable of. You might even not realize that the potential is hidden inside you just because you're focused on other jobs that you might don't even like, or you took a wrong career path and you are in the career for 10 years and you must be thinking, I want to do something but I don't know what to do, which is a common question people always, even though you're in 10 years or 5 years in a career, people still want to change in their life or how to make their individual life better. And that is where our company or DiscoverIn steps in, and we can help you realize the potential which you have hidden inside you, and we can help it to let it out, and you can do wonders in your life. Once you realize your potential, then there's a whole world out there for you to explore and use your ability in order to achieve more in life, to be more happy, more successful in life.
Okay, good. It sounds like we covered a lot of areas about dermatoglyphics and DiscoverIn. Is there anything else you would like to say before we end this interview?
Yeah, well, it's a new science. Give it a shot, try it out for yourself, and use it, because sooner or later you will realize, and it'll be too late. Well, it's never too late, but if you're a young adult and you're looking to change your careers and you don't know what to figure out, you don't know what fields to go in, we can help you, and we can definitely help you achieve the goal you're looking for in your life.
Got it. So this concludes our interview. We're coming to you from beautiful Union Square in New York City.